as a whole. And I'm going to break it down. I'm going to talk about the lack of accountability on the behalf of the parents. On the behalf of the parents. Because when your daughter was benefiting, and listen, I have the capacity to be able to represent all sides. And I'm just sharing because as a woman, I have a lot of freaking questions. When your daughter was benefiting from the rap game and benefiting from being very sexually active at a young age, right? At 16, you allowed your child to date a 26-year-old man who was not Diddy. I have a lot of questions for Cassie's parents. You are responsible for her health and well being, and you let her roam freely about the cabin. And I want to know why. The lack of accountability there. This, hold on. Gray, welcome.
Hello, Sheba. Thanks so much for letting me in. I think the verdict was almost right. I think it should have been not guilty on all charges. I think people were overlooking a lot of things. I've been going back and forth with people about this, and I had told my sister, I'm African American. You could probably tell by my voice, but I'm just saying.
I
Um,
didn't know that.
and I told my sister, I said, this might be the first black man in history who is in better hands with a whiter jury. And the reason I said that is because I noticed that black people have more stories of bad acts with this man. So many black people are coming into this trial like, oh, I think he killed Tupac. He punched Drake in the club. I heard about him. He might have killed Kim. I don't think we truly had the ability to treat this man fairly. And when I saw how old those people were and how educated they were probably like, okay, well, let me hear it. Let me hear the evidence. And I think that's why we got the verdict we got.
All right. Excellent point. Thank you for coming up. That's Gray, everybody. That's great. Gray's gonna come back down and join the party in the chat. Now, Shodri, what you doing back over here on my side of the street? I'm gonna give you 30 seconds. Go ahead. You got the floor. I was
I
like, I
was
know that ain't who. Hold on,
right.
like Denzel. I know that ain't who I
I
think
just
it is.
I just think that I, well, before I even say anything, I love what you've been doing. We need that as a community, and stuff like that. But I just think that we as a people, black women and men, we need to get it together and learn how to support each other more, because it seems like it's a war going on between us, and we need to rein it in.
All right. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate you. That was Shodri, and thank you for just being supportive of the page. I really appreciate it. And we're gonna keep the topics coming. Alexis, welcome to the palace. This is Queen Sheba. You have the floor.
Hi, Queen. I just want to first say that I discovered you through this trial and your work is phenomenal. I just love how you look at everything so abroad and you don't just pick a side. I do want to say this could be like a conspiracy theorist point of view, but I don't think Diddy was ever going to face life the same way we never got an Epstein list or any unredacted Epstein files. I think it was always like a like to point him out like an what's it called, like a ritual embarrassment ritual, whatever it's called, to basically show him that he's not bigger than the program. I do think Diddy has done a lot of bad things and he could be found guilty if the prosecution wanted to get him. But if you take him down, others will go down with him. Same thing with Epstein. You take Epstein, many other powerful people will go down with him. So I thought it was always going to be a slap on the wrist, something just to remind him that he wasn't bigger than the program. Thank you, Queen.
Thank you, Alexis. That was Alexis. We appreciate you coming up. And Alexis is going to drop down and join the party in the chat. I saw a comment. Let me see if I can find it. I would like to elaborate just a little bit before I go to Takesha. Um, Sherry Rice said, I think Cassie ran over her parents. I believe you should have been. Let me read it. Let me take my time. Sherry Rice writes, I think Cassie ran over her parents. I believe you should have been. I believe he should have been not guilty on all charges. Okay. Okay. Um, Let me go to Takesha. Takesha, welcome to the palace. You got the floor.
Thank you, Queen. I've been enjoying your commentary. I found you during this cycle, so glad to have found you. Such a breath of refreshing air. What I wanted to say is, let's not forget that this man has been convicted of the Mann Act. The Mann Act is also, if you look it up, it's the White Slavery Act. The irony of this all, of all the charges that they found him guilty of basically uh, dating white women across state lines. This
Well, that's
is
what he did.
That's what, but this is taking us back. Some women said, "Oh, this set us back 20 years." I'm gonna say that it set us back 60, because this should not be. This should Nobody gets tailed with the Mann Act anymore. This is an old law used to beat a new fool. He did this to himself. It may not be the most popular thing to say, but he's gonna remember who we are. And when I say who we are, Black women, avoid him like the plague.
All right, that's Takesha. She said, listen, they got his ass on an old Negro spiritual hymn called the Mann Act. And the Mann Act is also known as the White Slave Traffic Act. It's a U.S. federal law passed in 1910 that prohibits the interstate or foreign transportation of individuals for prostitution or debauchery, or for any immoral purpose. While intended to combat forced prostitution, its broad wording has led to its application in cases involving consensual sexual activity. The primary goal of the Mann Act was to address the issue of white slavery, a term used to describe the forced prostitution of women and girls. Now, when you say white slavery, the act, okay, let me see. Are we talking about white women that were forced to have sex, or Black women that were forced by white men to please their sexual needs? Somebody come on up here. AFBM says, honestly, slave master kid. I think, let me go look, because now we didn't open up a whole other kid. You know what? Let me stay on topic. We're going to stay on topic tonight. We're going to stay on topic tonight. Okay, so that's basically all we have. What do trafficking animals have to do? What are y'all must be arguing in the chat. I'm not going to read y'all's comments. Listen, I think that's it. I think that's all we have tonight. I saw a comment that I really wanted to answer, but I lost it. I can't find it. I'm looking for it. And that's basically it. But thank you, everybody. And we're gonna keep talking about this. Of course, Diddy's bail was denied. Some of you believe it's denied because he's going to be probably going home on October 3rd, that Friday. Let me tell you something. It's interesting that the judge has set his bail hearing or his sentencing for October 3rd. That's a Friday. I don't know. And let me tell you why I say that. Because corporations like to fire people on Fridays. So the fact that he said it on a Friday, that tells me, I'm going to say it's 50-50. I don't think Diddy is out. I don't think he's in a safe zone yet, because I look at this two ways. If he was going home, you let him go. If you think about how the legal system is set up and how everybody wanted this, everybody wanted this case to be over with. If the judge, in my opinion, had any intention of letting him go, that was going to be indicative of his decision today. This isn't his first case. It won't be his last. He has to have some sort of an idea of how much time he intends on giving Diddy. Okay. In my opinion, I don't believe he's going to allow him to go home, because I think he's going to make Diddy serve some years in jail. I think Diddy may receive 3 to 4 years in jail with time served. I think he's going to have to sit it out about 2.5 years. And I think at this point, it makes no sense to the judge. This is all speculation. It makes no sense for me to send you home only to pick you back up. Think about these people. These are brilliant people. These aren't everyday people that get elected into these positions, right? When you think about being appointed by the Democratic Party, this man is not going to keep him, let him go just to bring him back. To let him go, that means you have no intention of keeping him. But to keep him, to me, I believe you have no intention of letting him go anytime soon. Doesn't mean you're gonna throw the book at him, but I may as well keep you. What are we looking at? June, July, August, September, October. 90 more days. Get you a little bit more time served. Lessen the load on your end. Listen, that y'all, it's chestnut checkers. When we first started covering this case, one thing I encouraged you all to remember, look at it from all sides, all sides. When you go through your settings on your phone, you have the ability to change the capabilities and to reconfigure that phone by toggling between switches. You can toggle something on and off, and you have to be able to jump from side to side to side to say, everybody is in this to win. The judge is in this to win, the defense is in this to win, and so is the prosecution. When no matter what happens with Diddy, Judge Aaron still has to work with Maureen, still has to work with those women. Those are his coworkers. Those are his compadres. That's his tribe. That's his tribe. And if you don't think that he's doing everything in his power not to piss them off too bad, he still has to do his job. But this was a big loss on the side of the government because those girls are used to winning. Those girls are used to winning. If you don't think he's going to help pick up the slack a little bit, in my opinion, I just threw you one. I left him here. Now, the prosecution is asking for 51 months. The defense is asking for 21 months. If I'm right, I think the judge is probably going to meet them somewhere in the middle. I don't think he'll get 51 months. I think he'll meet them in the middle. We're looking at 31 to maybe 38 months, right? I said 3 to 4 years. Give him credit for time served. Diddy's going to have to sit it out 2.5 years. The question is, can he? Welcome, Nonique. What are your thoughts?
Hi, Sheila. I love your show. I wanted to talk about a little bit how, Diddy was definitely guilty of everything that accused him was, but I didn't want him to go to jail. You know, I'm like, I feel bad for his young daughters and, you know, the implications of that. But I wanted to talk about how you spoke about how some of the jurors were, you know, you talked about one of the guys who was had the headset on. He was looking and he kept trying to hurry and take it off. And I whenever I was hearing that, I was, you were like, oh, he probably, may not, he already made up his mind or whatever. I kind of knew when I heard about how many guys were on the juror that they were probably gonna feel like Diddy was gonna be, they're gonna get him not guilty just because of they probably engaged in some form of that, either not like what he did, but just flying a woman out, or then paying for a woman or whatever across state lines or whatever during events, going to Vegas, all that type of stuff. So I kind of knew that he wasn't gonna like get the full charges, but I'm happy that he didn't. He beat most of his charges. But what do you think of that? About looking back when you think of the jurors' reaction to those sex tapes?
I muted you up, Nonique, while I answer your question, just to minimize a little bit of background noise. So I think I was probably one of the first channels to talk about that juror, which I named the lead juror. Shout out to Lenny, by the way. Lenny did his thing. The one we call Lenny. Lenny did his thing, didn't he? Lenny was back in there in that deliberation room acting a damn fool. Damn fool means giving them a run for their money. But listen, I think the lead juror had his mind made up. And I was able to follow his behavioral cues based on him yanking them on and off. And he was the only one to take them off like that, in that manner, with that type of tone in his touch. He was the last one to put them on, the first one to take them off. And then at one point, I also talked about how the rest of them, I counted 7 of them that left them on the entire time. Some of them may have shifted them, but there were 7 that kept them completely on. To me, that's like crowd mentality, crowd behavior. I don't want to disturb. I don't want to go against the grain. I'm just going to keep them on. but the lead juror did not do that. So that's my response to that. What are your thoughts?
That's a good point. Yeah, I mean, honestly, I just, I have brothers, a lot of brothers, and grew up around a lot of guys, and I already knew that I believe that the guys were going to see it from D's point of view and just think about their own selves or personal guy friends, or even if they don't engage in it, they probably have a friend or someone who does similar acts, not on the extent of Diddy, but probably engaging in some type of women paying for women or whatever. So I was like,
Okay.
they're not gonna try to sentence themselves and get in trouble for these same. The implications can fall down on them, and they probably were like, I don't want to get in trouble for this. So that's my opinion.
All right. Well, got it. That was Monique, everybody. She said it took a look. Just she's thinking about the male ideology that sat in that deliberation room. Keita, welcome. You have the floor. Welcome to the palace.
Welcome. Thank you. Thank you. I would just like to say that I still think that Cassie is actually a victim. No one is going to convince me otherwise. It just
That's
makes
it.
can
That's it.
you,
That's all.
no, can you hear me?
Yeah, yeah. Go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry. I think that Cassie is a victim. No one is going to convince me otherwise that she wasn't a victim. I still believe that he groomed her. I think that she came in thinking that it was going to be a contract, that she was loving on this guy, that they was in a relationship, that she was going to do work. And I think that he totally had different plans for her. And he manipulated the situation. And for Jane, I think that to a degree, I think that she was manipulated. I think
You went out. Let's pause. Let me do a mic check on Keita.
that he was holding the house over her. So I'm convinced, even when the jury came out with the question about why um about on the plane with Cassie, when they asked what happened, he told her that he was going to release those tapes, and that if she didn't perform, that he was going to give them to her mom. So again, I just think that they were victims.
I got you. Let me ask you this before you hang up. I just got one quick. Ah, she left. All right. That's all right. All right. Thank you, Michelle Lane, for the $10 super chat. Michelle says, Diddy paid for an elaborate sexual escapade. Let's hope he spends twice that amount on his recovery treatment for sexual addiction. We are all flawed humans if we dare to change for the better. I agree. I agree. Thank you, Star Child. She gifted one Queen Sheba doll and membership. So if you got a random notice that you are now a member of this channel, thank Star Child. That was her. That's all her goodness. All her goodness and her love. All right. Let's see. Season 718 says Jane Doe already had a baby father. Listen, that could or should have been paying her rent. That should have been paying her rent. I think Mark Agnifilo, y'all be trying to tear me up about that man. Agnifilo quoted or touched on that in his closing argument of how Diddy should not have been responsible to make sure that she and her child had a home, but he did, right? He did, and he painted that out as a positive. Now, let me ask you something. For those of you that truly believe Jane Doe, okay, Keita, welcome back. I got a question for you.
Okay, I'm ready.
All right. You say you believe Jane Doe was a victim?
To a degree. And
Okay,
I say,
okay.
go ahead with your question. I
Okay, so
apologize.
here's my question. And you don't have to defend your point. You
No
don't have to.
problem.
All right. So, do you think as a victim that it would be wise and or healthy to accept any type of monetary exchange from your predator or your what's the legal name for a person that from the
Abuser.
your abuser?
And that's what makes it so tricky, because he was abusive to both of them. I do believe that when you're in those abusive relationships, you don't identify as being a victim. In both instances, I think that they both identify as women who wanted to be with him, who wanted to please them, which I think that the prosecution tried to get over to the jury and to everyone watching. But as an abused individual, it can be hard for them to see themselves as being abused, or that he's doing this to manipulate me, to continue to keep me in this situation where I continue to accept this type of abuse.
So is it a free for all for women? Because people, that's where I
No,
think
it's not.
a
It's
lot of men are
tricky.
confused to say if you are a victim And if I still have to pay your rent and give you money, when do you wake up and realize, okay, I might be a victim, but it probably I shouldn't be accepting money? Like, break that down for us.
I do agree that there is a very thin line, and that's why I think the judge did not allow him to go home today. I you are a it's a difference between because I think that's where people get mixed up with Jane. Was she a victim or was she a willing participant? And I think that Diddy characteristics show that he has a lot of characteristics of an abuser. I think that with the everyday man who may just, oh, I like women and I don't mind paying for them, may be different opposed to the characteristics that Diddy show.
Okay. Okay. Well, thank you for coming back up, Keita. That's what I wanted you to elaborate on. And thank you for being a good sport and being open.
All right, thank you.
No problem. That was Keita, everybody. She's going to drop back down and join the party in the chat. To Keisha, I'm going to give you 30 seconds. Welcome back.
Hi, just wanted to just reiterate something. We're talking about whether or not they were victims. You can be injured or you can be victimized. That does not necessarily make you a victim just because you are victimized. It is a sad day when we don't realize that had that been you or myself, our tears didn't matter. Cassie's tears did not mean a thing to anybody until they were validated by Alex Spine. Let's not forget, Alex Spine validated those tears.
Hold on.
Yes,
How did
ma'am.
he validate them in your opinion?
He validated them by his position in society as being a white man, and she was white adjacent, and her tears had value.
Okay,
Beyond that,
hold on, wait,
okay.
because we got to make it make sense. That's all right. We're going to walk it slow. Back up. Break it down as if you're talking to a kindergartner. When you say Alex Fine validated her tears because he's a white man that saw value in her pain, give us more, but act like you're talking to a kindergartner.
He not only saw value in her pain as her husband, he saw value, monetary gain in her pain, and he capitalized on it. And that is a poor, very, very, very poor example of what we should use as being a victim when there were other women that may have experienced the same or something similar, but because they did not look like Cassie and they were not adjacent, they were not connected to white privilege, their tears meant nothing.
Oh, stop right there. That's where you dropped the mic. I'm going to let you drop. Hold on. Let me see. There we go. That was Takesha, everybody. I like when y'all run down y'all's points. And I'm going to get, if you cooking, I'm going to help you cook as your sous chef. Thank you, Takesha. Thank you. Because you gave me something else to think about. I never considered that. Miss Yo-Yo, welcome.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am. I got you. I can hear
Hey,
you.
girl, how are you?
Good. I'm good.
So I just wanted to say something. When y'all talk about the money, about him still paying rent and stuff, I feel like, the attorneys and all them get a list of all who's gonna come up on the prosecution side and stand against him and talk. But my thing was, I believe that once they found out she was gonna do that, they probably told him to keep paying her rent so it would make him look good since they already know that she's gonna be on the prosecution side. It would make it, and we always come to that point, well, why is you still paying her rent? Why is you he's paying your lawyer? You know what I mean?
I think for me as a woman is why did she allow him to?
Well,
Think about
we
it. Hold
think it
on. Don't
logically,
defend
but
it.
she don't. I
Oh,
don't
hold
think
on.
she. Okay.
Yo. Don't defend it. Just think about it.
Oh no, no. Okay, I
Why
am.
would
I
she
don't. I'm not
allow him
defending her.
to? Because they've established
Uh
that
huh.
and I'm not agreeing or disagree. I just like good talk. I like to
Right.
make it make sense, right?
Right.
And I'm gonna give you a little time, but let me just say this. They establish how much do you make? Now, whether she lied or told the truth, she says she makes more than enough
Mm-hmm.
to pay her rent. So, yes, he was paying her rent and he could have been advised to, but as a woman who feel empowered to stand for what's right, why would she continue to allow him to? What
But
are your
wait, I'm
thoughts?
not taking up for her because I don't believe she's no good. So if it's about money and she's hungry for money, she wouldn't give a damn about that. Me and you would think of that, right? We wouldn't do nothing like that. But the person she is, she don't care as long as her rent getting paid.
Now, when you say me and you, are you saying black girls have a higher moral code?
No, I'm not even talking about race. I'm just saying us as a woman. We're not gonna
Gotcha.
stay. We know
Okay,
somebody hurt us and doing harm. We don't. We stay away, far away from them.
I
We
got
not dealing with them. We don't need nothing from them. We gonna hold our own.
you.
She's
Okay.
not a woman like that.
Is that an excuse for her to continue to accept it as a victim?
I think she don't even care about that. I understand the logic what you're saying, and I totally agree with you. But I feel
Right.
like her mind, she don't give a damn about that. They're already out here doing wrong things. You get what I'm saying?
Ah, excellent point. Thank you,
So
Miss
in her
Yo.
mind, she not thinking like we think it. She don't. She trying to get the next dollar.
I got, I got
So
you. I
if
got
I'm
you.
out here doing me, I'm already doing things. I'm just. She's a whole different character of a woman. So she's not thinking like we're thinking. We
I
don't need
got
a
you.
maid
I
like that
got you.
if we feel like they mistreating us and doing us wrong.
All right, that's Miss Yo. I follow you. She said, "Listen, don't put too much on it. They don't even be thinking like that. You thinking way too deep, child. Don't be them girls ain't even thinking like that on that level, operating on that 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 uh that scale. It's simple. They be getting to the money. Everybody mad. Nisa, welcome.
Hey, Queen Sheba. So
Hey.
I don't think neither Cassie or Jane Doe is a victim. And I think for Cassie, she would have kept dealing with Diddy had he not said that Kim Porter was his true love or whatever he said. I think that's the point that broke her. And I think she would have kept going back between Alex or whoever with Diddy. For Jane Doe, if it is 50 Cent's baby mama or whoever, I feel like when he took the trip with Young Miami and all the family kids was there, I think that's when she started getting jealous and she started plotting. I think everybody was okay and everybody was fighting to be his number one until they realized that he didn't really want them to be number one or whatever the case is.
All right, that's an excellent point. Thank you, Nisa. That was Nisa, y'all. And she made a very excellent point. She said, jealousy is a hell of a drug. Jealousy is a hell of a drug. I have to agree. Let me see. I think I just saw something. Let me see. And with that being said, look, Ramona's hilarious. Ramona says, I need to write a book named Mad at Miami. Right? Everybody hates Chris. Everybody hates Miami. Everybody hates Miami. Listen, Mad at Miami. Girl, you better go copyright that before somebody steal it. You better go copyright that before somebody steal it. Who is this? Dana says she gonna, oh yeah. So Queen Liz said Dana says she gonna pass out if he guilty. Why? That means her charges are coming to effect. Listen, uh Season says they got jealous of the black woman Cassie Kim and Jane Doe. Young Miami, who say Diddy don't like uh, uh let me go to the next one. Hold on. Princess, I like this. At what point, when we're talking about accountability, at one point do these women take accountability for their actions? Let me ask y'all that. Do any of you in the audience believe these women held any responsibility in these sexcapades at any time? That's why I'm saying at any time. Do any of you feel like these women should have or could have made better decisions at any time? Ramona is saying no. Do you feel like the women, or when it comes to sex, are men responsible for the well-being of women? Do women need to just give over their rights to let a man decide? Because I know a lot of y'all are marching and staging and boycotting, saying we have a right to do what we want to do with our bodies. Does that mean When we accept that right, we also have to be held accountable when we participate in things or we take part in things. How does that work? What are your thoughts? I'm asking. I'm simply asking. What are we fighting for when we say you don't have a right to tell me what to do with my body? So, if that's true, if a man doesn't have a right to tell a woman what to do with her body and a woman decides to participate in a freak off, what level of accountability should she be held to? That's what I'm asking. Should she be prosecuted for prostitution or the transportation of prostitution? Or is she just simply a victim because she has a vagina? Let me drop the link. That's how we talk over here. I don't know how everybody else talk. We just like to talk real. It ain't no right or wrong. I'm just asking. So a lot of you feel like, some of you are saying, yes, there should be a level of accountability and responsibility. So if a woman decides to prostitute herself out, let me just tell you how the real world works, okay? Let's talk about the real world. If you go on any corner in your neighborhood or somebody else's neighborhood and a woman is selling herself, she will be arrested for prostitution. The solicitation of prostitution, because not just her, but also the John, the man, the trick, whatever, and the pimp. What gives? That's what I'm saying. Do we all have this aesthetic bias that just because a person is perceived to be beautiful, more notoriety, more visibility, that no, she's not a prostitute because she's laced down in Balenciaga? She's carrying this bag. She's living here in this neighborhood. She's dating this rapper, sleeping with that rapper. She is not a prostitute, but those women down there are. She gets more money. She turned tricks for $20 or maybe a line of dope. Those are the prostitutes. These are the victims. How do y'all explain that? What's the phenomenon? I'm inquiring mine. I want to know. Because any day you walk through a hood, you get what I'm saying? A bad neighborhood, a street where prostitution and they walk in the night. They walking. They can all get arrested. When the police come, they scatter like roaches because the girls know they gonna go to jail too. They gonna go to jail too. Not just the men that are out there looking for a trick, to turn a trick, but also the women that are doing the tricks. You see how the biases are inserted based on the tax brackets? That's all. Wake up, people. Wake up. And that's why people are saying, stop playing. Because if you sold your body in exchange for money, you're also engaging in prostitution. That's why some people, and I'm not saying I agree, I've represented both sides, but let's get into it. I have to agree with Mark Agnifilo. He says, why is it that we are not pushing back on these women? You know, I get it. They're women. So everybody's scared to touch that dial as it relates to the women. Nobody wants to touch that dial. Nobody wants to say, hold up now. Do you know the difference between right and wrong? You know how they do? Yes, I do. Is that gentleman wearing a black or a blue? If I said he was wearing blue, is that right or is that wrong? I'm just asking. Sweet love, welcome. What are your thoughts?
Welcome, Queen. I just wanted to say that I believe that us as women, what we do is we're always worried about the wrong thing. We worried about, is Diddy going to get therapy? Is he going to do this? Is he going to do that? It doesn't matter. The accountability starts with us. We are responsible for doing the work. When we don't do the work and love ourselves wholeheartedly, we fall into the hands of these devils and to these predators. So it's all on us. The accountability has to start with us, and we can't depend on someone else to treat us right, or whatever the case may be. When we're placed in those situations, then we have to do something to get ourselves out of those situations. We have to love us first. But I believe these women went in it for the money, the fame, the lifestyle. When they couldn't control the players on the chessboard, then it became a problem.
All right. Thank you, sweet love. She said, listen, you worried about the wrong thing as a woman. Worry about yourself. Focus on our part. Let's talk about it. Queen Liz, what are your thoughts?
I just wanted to say from before, I do hope other people are held accountable. Okay, to this, let's have an analogy. I don't think, workers should rob their client because he ain't going to tell, right? But I don't think because you're a worker, you should suffer abuse just because that's your profession. Also, if you put a price on your, make it a good one because you could work at Ross or Chanel.
Oh,
That's what I said.
I told y'all, listen, the women be cooking over here. The women are just, listen. Oh, oh. Wait a minute, Queen. Hold on. Queen Liz, girl. Wait a minute.
Bro, I don't want to talk about it. you just said I'm gonna talk about it. I get angry. I don't want to.
That was funny. That was funny. Oh, girl, I'm clutching my pearl. She said, listen, it don't matter to me, baby. If you're going to be good, then be good at it. You can work at Ross or you can work at Chanel. Welcome, freaking Ain't a Rico. Freak off saying, Rico, what? You know what I'm trying to say. Welcome.
Thank you. I just want to say I'm so happy with the results because once I started following the transcript, I could tell this man wasn't guilty. Although I was a victim of domestic violence for 9 years, so I think they got it right, and I have a newfound faith in our justice system, and I'm so proud of them, defense attorneys, because he sure was not guilty.
All right. Well, thank you, freaking Ain't Rico. She says she think they got it right. That's it. That's all. I think there's a lot of aspects of this case that are just not so cut and dry. And everybody, I think we all have to agree from a government perspective, defense perspective, this is different. It's unorthodox, right? We can all agree with that. And the jury, hats off to the jury. Round of applause to the jury. That was difficult. That was tough. And they made it do what it do. Princess Kylie said, if you're not respecting yourself, what makes you think the man is going to respect you? Listen. Mhm. All right. That's it, y'all. I'm out. Thank you, everybody. Great conversation today. Different variations of point of views. All of them cooked today. So thank you, Queen of the Virgo. Thank you for the $5 super chat. She says Jane was in control and thought, hold on. And oh, yeah, Jane was in control and even thought to have Diddy in booty shorts. She was in control. If Jane was ugly, would this even be a conversation? Would it be? Good question. Good question. So that's all we have tonight. Excellent show. Thank you, everybody. Thank you to everybody. We're going to continue to evolve the conversation. I will see y'all soon. If there's anything as it relates to how you would like me to dissect this, shoot me an email. Shoot me an email. I'm out. Thank you.
You all should be ashamed. How can you drink right after a funeral? Like this? Give me another one, then, Brady. Fred Sanford, you just left the house of the Lord, and now I'm in my house. All y'all ought to be ashamed drinking like a school of fish. My Bible says, be not drunk with wine. What does it say about scotch? Yes, why'd you go someplace else? Why'd you go ugly up somebody else's house? Who you calling ugly, sucker? You.